Good morning. Yes, she is the lovely Miss Betsy Johnson. Good morning.
Top of the morning. It
Top of
feels
the
like
morning.
fall here. I don't know what it looks like in Tillamook, but
yeah, we're in fall now.
it feels like fall.
We don't have any more of the lovely sunny weather that we had for a couple weeks, but that was a nice little surprise, and it was lovely because it felt like summer kind of didn't end, and so it was nice. Hey, we're coming up on our elections. I think we're 2 weeks away from yesterday. And I wanted to ask, because there are measures that I need to vote on that I'm confused. I assume if I'm confused, probably other people are. Can we talk about what is being called the grocery tax?
Sure. If you don't mind, let's start at a higher level and then drop down and do these in some kind of order, because they're 102, 103, 104, 105, 106.
Yes.
But I'm happy to talk about them. Let's start at a pretty high level. I have never experienced the kind of campaigns that are occurring this year previously. I think that the amount of hyperbole and mischaracterization of people's records is just stunning.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if people are aware of the fact that in many of these ads, there are nuggets of truth.
Sure.
But not the whole truth.
Right.
Let me give you an example. The ads that the governor is running against Newt Bueller says that he votes 85% of the time with the Republicans. Well, counted in those votes are votes for adjournment, votes memorializing winning athletic records. It's the totality of all of the votes. In any legislative session, there's only a handful of bills that are highly controversial and highly controversial. We vote on so much stuff all the time that is absolutely inconsequential. And in fact, many of those votes are unanimous votes. And so that's an interesting piece to take into account. The other thing where there is opportunity for mischaracterization is a little-known procedure called minority reports. This is an opportunity committee, if a bill does not receive the full-throated support of a committee, there is the opportunity for a subset of the committee to issue a minority report. Those minority reports are voted along strict party lines. They're called procedural votes. And the expectation is to maintain order in the chambers, that the parties, whether or the Democrats, vote in a block on procedural votes. And often a procedural vote will be something that, I'll just take myself for an example, I may like something in the minority report. The minority report offers language that isn't in the underlying bill. It is functionally an amendment to the underlying bill. And there may be something in the minority report that I think is just hunky-dory. But rules in the legislature require parties to vote in blocks on minority reports. The argument about that is that absent that level of discipline, that the whole place descends into chaos. I'm sure that I like it, and it is a protocol that the parties, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, adhere to. But those minority votes are taken into account to help create the record of somebody's service in the legislature. And I don't know if I'm so far down in the weeds that I'm losing people, but the point of the story is that many of these campaigns have such nuanced, he supported this, that, or the other thing. She supported the other thing. And it doesn't paint the entire picture.
Right.
And I have never seen an election cycle with as much just garbage as I have this time. And nobody has the high ground on running issue-oriented campaigns. This is a gotcha environment. You and I were talking before we went on the air that because of the kind of that you get at your house, you're not just inundated with these ads.
Right.
But I swear to God, if somebody gave all of the candidates more money, I don't think there's more airtime to buy ads in. God only makes so much in a day, and I would assume at some point that the available space to be purchased to tell one's message is probably fully subscribed.
Mm-hmm.
This gubernatorial campaign is going to cost shy of $30 million.
Oh my gosh, that's a huge number.
Obscene.
Mm-hmm.
And all it is just people hammering back and forth on each other. I happen to know both of the candidates. I've served in the legislature with I've served in the legislature with Governor Brown. And from that vantage point, I can see the half-truths and mistruths that are in these advertisements. And would that we would have principled conversations about the issues, not these odd hominem, just beat the opponent to death kind of ads. The other observation that I would make is that in our political polarization, we are so... I've heard the word tribal used, that I will adopt that as my characterization, that a person can have a substantial record of service, but on one issue, if you're not, you're the enemy. And it is a bizarre construct in my view. So that's at 100,000 feet. Now I'm happy to drop down and talk about other stuff.
Okay. So. And I feel like the media is a little bit like that. I see things on Facebook. I see things in the newspaper, online, where they take a little bit of truth of the story and make it the big headline and kind of blow it up. And then when you really get into it, it's not entirely the whole story, or it's a yes, but type of situation. Yes, that's true. But you really have to take into these other things into account. So yeah, I can see.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
The difference I'd make, though, between social media and the newspapers, as bad as the print media is right now, they still have ethical standards that they are required to adhere to. Things that are on Facebook, other social media, there are no guards at the door to assure any degree of accuracy or fact. And in the social media, the thing that I've discovered is that start to run even grotesquely false stories. They start to run, and if they're repeated enough times, they take on this patina of truth.
Yes.
Now, I don't remember the whole story, but I think it was somebody at PSU wrote some kind of an article about the sexual habits of dogs in free dog parks, and it was portrayed as a learned paper, and it got published somewhere as a learned paper, and it's a tongue-in-cheek takeoff on how poorly vetted articles are before they get this sort of aura of learned paper. And periodically we'll see where somebody's, registered a chimp for credit cards. And I don't know whether we're trusting or gullible or what, but I think our collective and individual ability to ask the tough questions is rising.
Yeah. I did see something funny once on Facebook that said, Abraham Lincoln said you can't trust anything on the internet.
There you go.
Yeah.
You just captured it.
Like, come on.
Let's go to the ballot measures.
Okay, but hold on real quick. Can I give away some pizza?
Pardon me?
Can I give away some pizza?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Talk about food. Let's talk about food.
So right now I'm going to give away Papa Murphy's Pizza Prize Pack. First caller wins a free Jack-o'-lantern large pizza and 1 pound of chocolate chip cookie dough. Congratulations to yesterday's winner, Natasha Churchill. One winner per household, and certificates must be redeemed by Halloween. The number is 842-4422. First caller wins that pizza prize pack from Papa Murphy's. Okay, let's get to Senator Johnson. Let's get to ballot measures.
Now that you've given away the pizza, we can come back and talk about 103, which might or might not tax pizza, depending on how it's defined. But let's do these in a little bit of an order.
Okay.
Measure 102 would allow local bonds for the financing of affordable housing with non-governmental entities. What this would really do is to allow local government to issue bonds to finance affordable housing.
That they would be owning. The government wouldn't be owning those houses.
That would be correct,
okay.
as I understand the ballot measure. And I think the thing that is problematic about this is being characterized, particularly in the Portland area, as a panacea that solves everybody's problem in affordable housing. In the Portland area, it is paired with a $600 million bond being issued by Metro, the metropolitan government that is Washington, Multnomah, Clackamas counties. And the two are being paired together. If I lived in Multnomah County, I would not support Metro, which has no experience in construction of any kind of housing, let alone affordable housing. I would not give them that kind of money to build houses with. One, who they're going to subcontract with, that's an incredible amount of money. That's more than $500 million worth of money. And I just think that as you allow government to issue general obligation bonds to finance the cost of affordable housing, somebody's got to be minding the store about accountability. How do you select the vendors? How do you make sure that they're doing it right? Do they have a track record?
Right.
We mustn't be seduced into that that because we pass a constitutional amendment that allows for local bonds to finance affordable housing, that suddenly we're going to have affordable housing. It just it is a much more complex issue, and the passage of ballot measure 102 isn't going to fix it. Now, on the counter side of that argument, does it give local government another tool in their? Because affordable housing, as you know, is no longer a Portland problem.
Right.
It's an everywhere problem. And so if a voter wants to change the Constitution and give local government that one more tool in the toolbox, then you'd be a yes. If a guy is skeptical about the issuance of general obligation bonds, which are really debt, to help cost of construct affordable housing, then a guy would probably be a no. So now moving on to your favorite.
Well, yes. Not my favorite, but yeah, it's the one I keep seeing things on, and I'm not sure those kind of half truths. Like, well, is that really what it's about? Because I see a lot of conflicting opinions and information out there. So
sure. Let's start with the what I believe is the lying issue here, and I was close to it in St. Helens because this happened in St. Helens. It is at the core of this is sugary soft drinks. And Michael Bloomberg, who is the former mayor of New York, who is having a larger and larger presence in our state, which I deeply resent, was behind taxing sugary soft drinks in New York. The argument was if your kids drink sugary soft drinks, their little teeth are going to rot and they're all going to turn out to be fat. What it really is about is raising revenue. And so just to make sure that everybody knows that they're looking at on their ballot, that it would amend our Constitution to prohibit taxes and fees based on transactions involving groceries, and that's defined. And so if a person votes yes, it amends the Constitution to prohibit state and local taxes and fees based on transactions for groceries. A no would retain state and local government's ability to enact taxes, including corporate minimum tax on transactions that involve groceries. Now, one would have to go back and remember 97, which was this tax that for milk products, for example, would tax milk at all sorts of different stops along the way, from the farmer to the aggregator of the milk product to the transport people. And so this ballot measure grew out of people's resentment over ballot measure 97, as well as the the sugary soft drinks. And so a lot of people would say this seemed like a pretty easy sell when it got onto the ballot, because the people that wanted it were saying that it was a simple ban on food taxes. And it gets a little tiny bit more complicated, but at the end of the day, it really is about revenue. And it doesn't touch alcohol, marijuana, or tobacco, so anybody taxes on sin products can rest easy. But I think that there's going to be a lot of disagreement about the meaning of the language in the ballot measure. There are those that are critics that say that this might ban taxes on restaurants and food served to patients in hospitals. There are others that say we shouldn't tax food for fear that it'll be passed on to the consumers. And so Oregon does not now have taxes on food, nor does it have a soda tax. But advocates in Multnomah County were pushing really hard for a soda tax. And in sugary soft drinks, and it's not just soda pop, but these are an important part of grocery stores' businesses.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of hyperbole about this measure, but at the end of the day, it really is about pop. Unlike products, pop doesn't spoil; it can stay on the shelf for a long time. I think that that carefully scrutinizing the ballot title would be, the measure would be very important. And of course, people know that you can go to your voter's pamphlet and look at that. There was a lot of wheeling and dealing before this went to the ballot when Governor Brown was negotiating with various proponents and opponents of certain ballot measures about what would get onto the ballot. So
it helps.
I hope it helps.
Yeah.
It is a complicated measure, but I think that at the end of the day, it's really about soda pop. But the possibility that your groceries could cost more is a danger.
Right. And to be clear, it's not passing an actual tax. It's just changing the wording in the Constitution to either open or keep it
of food products.
Right. Another quick break. We're going to talk about Tillamook Motor Company. Are you ready to go to work? Tillamook Motor Company has huge discounts on commercial vans plus 0% financing for up to 72 months. Ford Transit vans stand head and shoulders above the competition. Configure the cargo doors to suit your a box floor that is flat with near vertical sides for maximum usable space. Choose from a wide range of products designed to suit different trades, cargo dividers, multi-racks, bulkheads, and sliding platforms. Use your imagination to create one hardworking vehicle designed with you in mind. Test drive today at Tillamook Motor Company on the friendly corner of 5th and Main in downtown Tillamook. Tillamook Motor Company, a better place to do business. So I'm talking with Senator Betsy Johnson this morning, and we were talking election and ballots because that's 2 weeks from yesterday, people. Out there and vote.
Yeah, the ballots are in people's hands, but don't just go out and vote. Cast an informed vote.
Yes.
And let me talk about this for just a second.
Sure.
Right now, when the issues and they're ready to go, and the second they get their ballots, they mark them and they're turned in. Then there's kind of a big lapse. Then at the end, when people figure out, oh, God, my ballot's still there on the kitchen table with all my bills, they run out and vote. So there's a big flurry at the end. If voters want to stop the annoying phone calls, vote earlier, because this election will be so tight in terms of especially the governor's race. I mean, the governor's race is a toss-up right now. And other issues will be very narrowly drawn. So the advocates for certain candidates and the opponents for certain candidates and the ballot measure opponents and proponents are going to be tracking every single ballot. And if If Betsy Johnson hasn't voted, they're going to be calling my house. The thing that I worry about is the very real possibility that for somebody who's still undecided or sitting on their ballot, that you could get that call from an interest group saying, well, I noticed that you haven't voted. Could we send somebody over to help you?
Oh, that happens?
A very creepy possibility that somebody could influence a vote that way. The other creepy possibility is we'll take your ballot to the ballot box for you, because I believe that there is a inherent responsibility in voting. I would never give my ballot to a third party to take to the polling place.
Right.
We make it easy to drop off ballots outside of most public buildings, libraries, city halls, county offices. But if somebody offers to carry away your ballot, do not do that.
Right.
We've just gotten to a point where the integrity of so much of our public processes is challenged right now. And I worry that as close as this election is in some quarters, that there might be an attempt to track those ballots and use undue influence.
I didn't realize that our ballots were tracked. That they can see that you haven't voted. That's interesting.
Here's how to prove it to yourself. Don't vote. Wait until November the 5th to turn your ballot in. You will be besieged by phone calls of people wanting you to vote. It's amazing.
Huh.
So let's go to number 4.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to jump up to 100,000 feet and just say that I think that it's interesting when you look at our ballots right now. We have 2 what I'm going to call money measures. That's 103 and 104. And we have 2 of the cultural social issues, and that's 105 and 106. 105 and 106 are issues that if the federal government were not paralyzed, I think that they would be working on. This whole debate about immigration and the people that are now coming up from Central and South America and through Mexico, the whole question of immigration is just hypercharged. You can't go anywhere that somebody isn't talking about immigration. I've been involved personally in some immigration cases on behalf of constituents, and I have to say that the last one that I worked on Congresswoman Bonamici with ended very badly. The woman was deported. So we're dealing with 2 issues where the federal government clearly has prerogative, and that's immigration. And 106 speaks to the question of abortion and who pays for abortion. Roe v. Wade is the settled law of the land right now, but with the Kavanaugh confirmation, it raised the question again: could the Supreme Court revisit Roe v. Wade and change the ruling, change the law of the land? And so these 2 issues that are federal prerogatives are also on our ballot. But going back to the 2 money ones, 103 is a money ballot about the taxation of groceries, and 104 is a money ballot measure. And this one is even more interesting to me. The Oregon Constitution provides that bills for raising revenue, this is anything that costs taxpayers money, require the approval of a 3/5 vote of each house of the legislature. The problem is that the Constitution doesn't currently define raising revenue. Courts have interpreted that term to include bills that bring money into the state treasury by levying, that means imposing, a tax or increasing a tax. So under that interpretation, a bill imposing a fee for a specific purpose or in exchange for some benefit or service is not included. And that means it could pass by simple majorities. So this proposed measure would amend the Constitution and define raising revenue, those words, to include any tax or fee increase, including changes to tax exemptions, deductions, or credits. And the measure would then extend the 3/5 majority to those definitions. What brought this to a head was a lawsuit that's currently being filed by my legislative colleague Brian Boquist, where a measure was approved by a simple majority, 16 people in the Senate, that had the net effect of costing taxpayers more money. And so ballot measure 104 got onto the ballot to try to bring clarity about how many votes do you need in order to cost Oregonians more money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the people that are arguing no, you should not amend the Constitution, are people that want to make it easier to raise money from taxpayers. A yes vote says that you would have to have a 3/5 vote in order to pass any requirement that would be taking away a tax benefit or causing there to be a tax hike.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I hate to cut you off, but it's 10 o'clock.
Oh,
so
okay,
sorry.
Well, then we're done.
Hey, yeah, but thanks for getting through those three. Appreciate it. It's
sure. Time flies when you're talking politics.
I know
Thanks
it
for
does.
Having me on, and everybody go out and cast an informed ballot.
Yes, for sure. Tomorrow we will have the Tillamook County Sheriff's Office here. Don't forget senior meals, 11:30 at St. Mary's by the Sea in Rockaway Beach every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Also noon every weekday at the Kiowanda Community Center in Pacific City, as well as the Tillamook Senior Center at 4th and Stillwell. Cost us $3 for seniors and $6.75 for everyone else. There's an informal coffee with the candidates meeting this morning. It started at 9:30 at Kendra's River Inn. I'm sure if you head over there, if you're in the area, in the Nehalem area, you could probably catch a little bit of that. Auditions for Tapa's winter comedy Beer for Breakfast are happening this weekend, Friday at 6 and Saturday at 2 at Tapa's Barn Community Playhouse over by Les Schwab. Get more information at tillamooktheater.com. Saturday is another Art Accelerated Downtown District Art Walk from 1 to 3. Visit artaccelerated.org for more info. The Pumpkin Patch at Old House Dahlia's is open this weekend 10 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. They're on Highway 101 south of Tillamook in Pleasant Valley. And the Kilch's Pumpkin Patch and Corn Maze will be open this weekend noon to 5 Saturday and Sunday out on Kilch's River Road at the Hydrangea Ranch. They're also having their Haunted Corn Maze Friday and Saturday starting at dark. It is $10 admission for the Haunted Corn Maze. Betsy, thanks again for calling in this morning.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. And thank you, Tillamook, for listening.